started here. Um, I got it. Take it away, Agar.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this session. My name is Agam Bianda. I'm the Community Engagement with Manafolk Center. So I'm very happy to see all of you here today as we are trying to reintroduce Breaking Bread. And Breaking Bread is a monthly conversation that we hold every third Wednesday of the month. And we are glad to see you all. Today, I'm not alone. I'm with Vanessa, and I would like her to introduce herself, and she will be leading this meeting. Thank you so much for joining us today. Take it away, Vanessa.
Thank you, Agar. Thank you. You're getting some feedback. I'm not sure what's happening here, but hi, welcome. Last day of summer. I think this is so fitting. Thank you for having me, and I've been working with Mana all summer on this reintroduction project and seeing how we can make this the best possible way to spend one lunch a month, talking about the things that matter to all of us. My name's Vanessa Pierre. I'm the founder of Homestead Hustle and Healing. If you see me looking this way, it's because it doesn't just flow. I have notes on the other screen just to keep us on track. I'm excited about this. Jackie called me one day, like it was literally out of the blue, and put her faith in me that that I could lend something to this platform and encourage people to actively share their voices like I do without being asked most of the time. I had a platform called 3H Table Talk where we talked about tough issues, and the tougher the conversation, the more interesting it got, the more change came from it. And I'm hoping to use my expertise in that area of just causing good trouble and also lived experience to this platform and having fun with all of you guys, because it can get kind of lonely working from home too. So I'm excited about the camaraderie and the community that we're going to be building here while we have conversations that matter. So y'all excited? Hello. Welcome to Breaking Bread. Like, I don't know, is this 2.0? Is this like post-pandemic? That's good. That's a good one. All right, so we are live on YouTube. So I'm going to talk quickly to the YouTube folks. If you're not able to catch it live, you can still catch us for dinner or anything else. Watch this at any time, or if any of the topics that we talk about jump out at you, listen to it again, watch it again, share it with someone who you think may benefit, and invite them the next time. I know I won't have all of you for this whole time, right? That would be like really asking too much. I'm hoping because it's like the reintroduction, you'll stick with me, but it's okay. An hour is a long time to be talking, and I hope to not talk for most of this. But I do think that the concept of breaking bread is so special, and we see it outside of just, Mana Food and the excellent work that they're doing in the community. The concept of breaking bread, you have to be comfortable with people, I think. You have to be comfortable to share a meal with someone. You have to have some level of camaraderie. You have to have some level of trust. Big deals are often done over bread breaking. Ideas are shared. New concepts come up with all around a table. We see that in religion. We see it out of religion. And I think that although we have so much to talk about, I think you can agree with me that Montgomery County has plenty of platforms to talk about the things that we'd like to change. We are inundated with meetings and Zooms and press conferences and briefings and initiatives and task force. I don't want this to be another that. My goal for Breaking Bread is that we will all know each other, like and trust each other, that we can share our opinions in a safe and respectful fashion, and that real ideas, concepts for change can come out of just sharing a meal. And it's just that simple. Okay? So if you're with me, maybe you guys could introduce yourselves. I would love to know, what's your name, where'd you come from, is this your first time, and what's for lunch? I can go first. I am having giant sushi this might be a gamble. Honestly, I don't know. We're just gonna try it. And if anything, you can send me like flowers to my hospital room. But we're gonna try it. Okay? What's next? Anybody, please take yourself off mute. It's very informal.
My name is Aga. I'm having fruit. And it's almost done. I have strawberry. I had pineapple, but I already eaten everything.
Wow, you wasn't gonna pace yourself at all, Cardinal. What about you, Miss May? You know I'm gonna pick on you because that's my family right there. What did you have for lunch? Did you eat lunch? Unmute.
Yeah, you know, I can eat lunch while I'm watching the news.
Okay.
I had the most famous dish of all, udon noodles.
There you go. That is tried and true, actually. Tried and
true. But I just didn't have plain old udon noodles. I put a little extra stuff in there and made it udon noodle supreme. And they're exquisite.
I love that. I love that. You can always jazz things up a little, like onions and garlic, and all of a sudden it's not
little bacon bits. Girl, please.
And you know what? I love that you season your food, Miss Mary. That's all I can ask you for. That is all I can ask you for. What else? Who do we have? Who's on camera? Who's not on camera? Would you like to introduce yourself? Where do you come from? Is this your first time attending Breaking Bread? And what's for lunch? Hi, Miss K. Unmute yourself for me. It gets us.
My name is Kay Fisher, and I live here in Bethesda, Maryland. I've been a donor to MANA for quite a while, but I've never actually been, I didn't know about this particular group before, but I received an email a couple of days ago, and I thought, yeah, I think I'd like to hear about that. So here I am. And
I love that.
No lunch today, just
no lunch. It's okay. It's liquid lunch. Liquid lunch. There we go. Allison, what's for lunch?
Oh, I have some chicken tacos on deck for lunch, but I probably won't be eating them until about 3:30 when I'm finally done with my meetings that are back to back. But that's it. I'm very happy to be here. Very excited for you, Vanessa. Wonderful to see you, Mary. I'm Allison from the Montgomery County Food Council. This is my first time at Breaking Bread, so I'm happy to be here.
Oh, nice. I love all your beautiful faces. Anybody else want to introduce themselves? We have a little bit of time. Steve.
Well, you already mentioned me, so I should make sure I can say hi. My name is Jackie DiCarlo. I work with a bunch of these folks on the screen and out in the community through MANA Food Center. So I was at the first Breaking Bread. So this is not my first Breaking Bread, but I'm delighted, Vanessa, that you liked the idea of being our partner and co-host because you said it came out of nowhere, but we see each other in meetings all the time. And we're on these webinars, and I'm just so glad that you made time to work with Agar on this. And I am having tortellini for lunch, but I will say in the spirit of local and healthy things that somebody, my colleague Cynthia, I think taught me that the tomato is a fruit, which I didn't realize. And so I now eat tomatoes like I eat apples, and that's a little addition to my meal today.
That is so good, especially if you have the right tomato. Like some of them are so sweet, or oh my goodness, the farmer's market is like my favorite place ever. I just found a whole bunch of coins in my purse. I was like, oh look, a reason to go back. Miss Carol, how are you? Nice to meet you. What's for lunch?
So I read about this in an email yesterday and just thought I'd see what it was about. And I'm going to have a turkey sandwich for lunch at 1. But more interesting, I think, maybe to you or maybe not, is the reason I have my screen off is because this was like my one chance to make some bread and butter pickles. And I have a cucumber plant that I'm half tempted to walk out and show it to you. Growing in a pot that we also have a plot in the Rockville Senior Center garden. And when you have a cucumber plant there, it does well until somebody gets blight, and then everybody gets blight. But so we had some cucumbers there, but since we have this cucumber here, not near anybody else, it never got blighted. We must have had 20 or 30 cucumbers from it, like that big. And so I thought, well, I love bread and butter pickles, so I'll figure out how to do that. So I'm in the process of making bread and butter pickles right now. But I do love talking about food and gardening, and I'm looking forward to hearing what everybody else is having. And I am going to keep my picture off because I'm just cutting up stuff. Yeah.
No worries.
So, but I am listening intently. So thank you.
Of course. And whenever you have something to say, just interject. You don't have to raise your hand. We're going to keep this as civilized, informal as we can. And when you figure out that recipe, please share it with the group. And if you guys have any interesting recipes in between time of us meeting, please share it so that we can all have bread and butter pickles. Like we should all be having pickles at this point. I'm happy for your blight-free cucumber plant. Sometimes it pays to be alone. I'm just going to throw that out there. Steve, hi.
Hello. Hi, my name's Steve Carosi. I'm brand new to MANA. I joined as Deputy Director last week. I'm coming here from Baltimore City, where I've been working for the last couple of years at a soup kitchen, running a culinary training program, as well as a social enterprise that's in outreach from our daily meal program. So I've been making meals for folks for the last few years. And I neglected to prepare for today, so I did not bring lunch. So I'm going to have to wait till after we're done.
No worries. I'm sure we will provide much inspiration for you. Rona, I saw you creep in there. When you're ready, let us know what's for lunch. I know she's just been here being supportive. I love my people. They come out. All right, so moving on, you guys have made me super hungry. I can't eat and talk, but please eat for me. And when you guys are talking, I will try and figure out the chopstick situation and get into the sushi. I want to start with some just quick little general housekeeping things at the beginning so that you can go when you need to. They're kind of important just because we haven't seen each other in a while. We took the last, I think it was 2 months off, just trying to regroup, do life, and figure out how we were going to make this the best platform for you guys. I would love to keep the format relatively the same once a month when we meet. And I think a big part of community is not just you sitting here listening to me and a garlic. We're going to run out of things to say. But we also want to know what you're working on, what you're passionate about, what grinds your gears. So there is going to be a space for what's going on. Talk to us about it. Do you have an upcoming event? Did you see something that maybe, this is an open conversation. Maybe we need to shift. Maybe something so big happened, that we really just need to talk about it. And I'd rather we make the space for it than you go about your day thinking that we're not here for you. The next thing is a kind of a call to action. We're a good sized group here and everybody's excited when it first pops off, right? Like everybody loves new and shiny. I think we can be so much more. I think we can be a really powerful group of voices and a place where people know that, hey, I have a lunch date. Like we want to be your lunch date every month, once a month. Mark your calendars, keep that date like you keep the gym and the church, whatever appointments, that I'm not, no judgment, no judgment, but make a place for us on your calendar that you say, you know what, I have a lunch date with my friends. Invite people. If you love the conversation, if you feel like someone else can have something, a neighbor, somebody that you go to school with, all ages, your kids, your grandkids could have something to lend to a conversation, or maybe a great opportunity to force them to spend time with you and us as well. invite them, tell them about the conversation, invite them out. We're going to get so much better as we grow. And topics. If you think of anything in the 3 weeks that we're not together, please let us know. We're going to run out of ideas. And we love the power of lived experience. And you experience life every day very differently than we do. So please tell us what topics you'd like to talk about. We have some ideas and we have the next few months planned. But like I said, we'd love to have input and have this be not a conversation just facilitated by Manna, but that we come together and we talk about what's important to all of us. So next month's topic is, Agar, my drum roll. You could just, no, okay, it's okay. I put her on the spot. It's fine. Next month's topic is, in keeping with what the county is working on, is childhood hunger. The Food Council has been doing so much work in conjunction with the Montgomery County Council. There's so many councils, isn't there? Working on the Child Hunger Task Force. And we're kind of just going to have that be a conversation starter. By that time, I think we should know a little bit more. We should be able to talk it through and see if we have anything as a group to lend to the discussion and the brainstorming sessions. We also are going to have a fall-inspired lunch. Today was kind of like the Wild Wild West, like bring whatever, eat, not eat, and you're always welcome to do that. But wouldn't it be super fun if we all kind of ate somewhat of the same thing? So maybe let your lunch be fall-inspired and keeping in the heart of Manna. If at any point you're having some trouble with what to bring or how to bring it, you can reach out to, there's a whole bunch of Manna people on this call, and we will arrange to figure out some lunch options for you. And in November, we're celebrating diversity. Montgomery County is one of the most diverse counties, I would say in the nation, but definitely in the state of Maryland. And we want to celebrate that. And we recognize that not everybody celebrates Thanksgiving, and there's like a lot of, we won't go there. But we do want to know about your culture. I think it's a great time to highlight how your culture celebrates and how your culture expresses gratitude around the holidays. And let your lunch reflect that. So I'm Jamaican, so there will be some like curry-ish, jerk-ish thing happening there. No, I'm not cooking for the group. Everybody says that. Maybe I'll get y'all a beef patty or something. That's the most I have for you. So I just wanted, before we get into our discussion, let you guys know what the next 2 months are so you can mark your calendar. Agar is going to drop the registration links, and we're also going to send it out after this call so that you can go ahead and register for those 2 sessions. It's on your calendar, set it, forget it. You don't have to worry about it after that. And then I challenge you to invite 2 people. All right, so you guys ready to get started? Okay, cool. All right, so this is the part of the conversation where I stop talking finally, and we kind of just have an open discussion. And this topic is post-pandemic summer. So first, I think it's very interesting that we call it post-pandemic because it literally feels like the pandemic is still happening. We have so many other things going on. So I just wanted to kind of start with the fact that, how do you feel about the phrase post-pandemic? Do you think we're past the pandemic? Take off mute and lend me your thoughts. How are you guys feeling in the aftermath? Is it an aftermath of COVID? How are we feeling? Help me out here. Come on, we can do it. Okay.
I guess we're not raising our hands. We're just jumping in. And I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself earlier. I came in still thinking about another meeting, but I'm here now. I'm Jenna Umbriak. I work here at Manna. Super excited to be here. In terms of the conversation about being past the pandemic, I'm conflicted. I want to say, yeah, we kind of know how to live with it. We know the precautions to take, and that feels good. It's good to be in that place, I think, for me. It feels I also, though, think of people who are still at a, a very high risk of, would be very impacted if they were to get the virus, more so than I would be. So I'm very aware of that differential that still exists, and that if we are to just move full on forward, that some people will be left behind potentially, and that worries me. And then, of course, there are so many lasting impacts of the pandemic that we're dealing with now. Supply chain issues, inflation, job vacancies, all of that still very real. And so that makes me think it doesn't feel particularly accurate to say that we're past it, because we're living in its wake. So perhaps, so that was a mess of things that I think about when I think of the pandemic.
It all seems like anxiety. It all seems like, are you sure? Are we really sure that we want to do this? Anybody else? You can just get off of mute. Don't even worry about it, Ms. Sabrina.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Hi, so I'm Sabrina Madoff-Steffen. I work in community and public health, and I have been volunteering with MANA for several months now in the market. Love it. It's such a great empowerment model. And I think in terms of post-pandemic, I really want to pick up on something that I heard Jenna talk about, which is I think it's really on who you ask, and whether you're looking at through sort of social determinants lens or political lens. I think the epidemic has been so politicized that it's easy to say it's over. But I think if you're out here and you're living with some of the both acute and chronic and long-lasting impacts of the pandemic, whether that be difficulties in gaining access to food or other social services, or challenges with family, who have been sick and now are living, with long COVID. I would venture to say that it's a very individual kind of thing to say we're past the pandemic. I think people are still living with it. We're all still susceptible to it to some extent, because we don't know really how the vaccines are totally protect us. You can still get COVID if you've had the vaccine. But I think we sort of crossed into a place where we're living with it versus in a more acute stage. And I think that's a change. I think that's a real change of when you're living with something versus it's in an acute phase. And I think there's a lot of adjustments that are needed, for people, for families, for communities, when you're just living with something as maybe not an acute threat, but a potential threat.
That's true. That's true. Rona, you had something?
Hi, everybody. I came in a little late, but hello. I'm Rona Reese, and I'm on the Montgomery County Food Security Community Advisory Board.
That's a lot to say.
It is. FCSAB, whatever it's. Anyway, I was one of the original people when the board was first started. And as far as the pandemic, I had been really, really careful, always wearing a mask, not going out without a mask. But, the governor said we don't have to wear a mask. I do go out without a mask, and I do go places where I'm not wearing a mask. And there's one place I go, I visit a friend who lives in a nursing home, and they require a mask there. I also have a friend who's challenged because her immune system is challenged, and she will not eat in a restaurant indoors. She only will sit outdoors. So we have to sit outdoors and find a place that sometimes it's pouring rain and we're under a canopy, but she will not go to a place and sit indoors. But I myself am, staying healthy and doing my best. Good to see you all.
Good to see you too. I kind of have a follow-up question to that, though, just to add to the conversation. My mom and I were talking. She got COVID for the first time while she waited till I was on vacation to visiting her to get COVID. I think it was planned, honestly. And we talked about, and maybe I'm sure maybe half of us or more have had COVID at this point. What are your general thoughts? Does having COVID and recovering from COVID make you less scared and make you, you know what, I'm not going to live my life under these restrictions anymore. I've had it. It's like a cold, blah, blah, blah. Or does it make you, for her, she's even more scared. And it came with a lot of shame, too. I don't know if that's just the Caribbean community, but she was just like, oh, my God, because she had, scorned people who got COVID. Like, no, you went out, you did something, but she'd followed all the rules. She didn't talk to anybody. She didn't go anywhere. And she still got COVID. And she was almost ashamed of herself. So I'm wondering, for people who have, lived to tell the tale and, thank God you're healthy, how are your feelings now? I don't know that I kind of feel judged when I go out without a mask now. So I kind of sneak it on. I just feel like so much has changed about everyone's opinion. Now that we're on the other side of it, where it's not a death sentence so much anymore. What are our thoughts about, these post-pandemic, we're still in a pandemic, but this kind of after COVID, are you more nervous, more careful? How do you feel about going out? If you feel like sharing it all. Ms. Carol?
So these are great questions. I was always super cautious, except when I wasn't. And got COVID about a month ago at the Newark airport. And honestly, I don't see how you could go through the Newark airport and not get COVID. And the reason I was at the Newark airport was because I really needed to go to a wedding in Ithaca, and it was too far for me to drive alone. And that was how to get there. You have to go through the Newark airport. So it wasn't horrible. And my husband got it. We were very worried about him, and it wasn't horrible for him either. But now I have this post cough. I don't know how long it's going to last. It's so annoying. And I'm going to be even more super cautious because I just don't want to get it again. So I understand that we're post-pandemic. I'm not sure what that means, but we're in an endemic. It seems a little more pandemic-y to me than endemic-y because it's so contagious. So I don't know. But I guess I was pissed about the mask mandates disappearing. But then I realized that so many people just don't wear masks, or they wear them below their nose, or they wear a mask that's not actually a mask, so it's easier for them to breathe. So at least this way, and I don't know, I've been listening to hear how people manage flights, because I'd like to be able to fly to California to visit sick and elderly family. I used to go every other year, and now I haven't been for 3 years because of the pandemic. And the only thing I can sort of figure out is that I would wear a mask, and if the person sitting next to me isn't wearing a mask, to put on one of those face shields over the whole thing. Oh, you don't wear a mask. Okay, then I'll wear my face shield and just wear the face shield. I don't know how else to keep safe. And I know that a mask is only 80% effective if you're with somebody not masked. So anyway, I'm wrestling with all those questions. So I'm listening intently.
Yeah, if anybody has any suggestions, please drop them in the chat for Miss Carol. And it's scary. I brought my kids on the plane, and I was just like, "You put that mask on. No, you don't get chips. No, you don't get juice. Keep your mask on." What's up, Miss Mary?
Well, I think, again, it's a personal choice. But I live in a senior building, and there's ages 60 to 99 in here with all different types of situations. So not only am I protecting them, but I'm protecting myself. As far as I continue to wear my mask, because that's for me. I do go out, and Ms. Carol, if you're going to LA, are you going to LA?
I have family in Oakland and family in the Valley of LA, so I'd have to go to one and then the other.
Let me tell you, been out on the plane 3 times this year. If you take United, and I don't get no money for this, but I'm just letting you know how comfortable I had to be. Shut up, Vanessa. How comfortable I had to be. Because my daughter could not get me out of my bubble for nothing. Because I was too concerned about not bringing something in here to this building. And I'm responsible. However, if you take United and you take the first flight out, it's a nonstop. If you take the last flight out of LA, it's a nonstop. Tell them you need a bulkhead seat on the window side. Now, this may sound a little corny to y'all, but it works. And then when you get in, you put the air vent yours going to the wall, and the second one going to the back. That keeps the circulation going. It works, trust me. And United has filters. They have the filtering system. Because my daughter made the call and asked what was happening. I can only recommend that you take the nonstop on United. Use a senior discount. You'll be happy you did. I'm not afraid to fly. In fact, I just came back from there the 7th of this month. I went out for a week and come back. I think it has to do with you gradually feeling for yourself. Don't change your routine. Wipe your hands. When you come in, wash your hands. Keep what you know is going to keep you safe. That's about all as I can share with you. But it took a minute for me to get out my bubble. I don't get out that much, but I'm conscious of where I am. And by the way, United gives you cleaning utensil, tabs to wipe your stuff down. So you just have to do what's good for you. That's all I can tell you.
That is a good one. And look at us having community already on episode 1 of the reboot. Come on now. We already got travel tips going. We got bread and butter pickle recipes. You know what? It's a win, Jackie. I could just drop the mic at this point. Let me segue the conversation to so we kind of know how we feel. I think we kind of all agree, like, you may not want to call it a pandemic, but there's definitely something happening here from a parent's point of view, and maybe there are some people who have young kids here. I got a call from the nurse the other day that said everybody at my kid's school has COVID. My kids actually are just getting over COVID, and they're just told not to make a big deal of it. They're no longer doing the testing. Masks aren't, so it's kind of like we're pushing it under the rug. But I'm wondering what other things we're pushing under the rug. Last summer, we saw a lot of money flow into this county. We saw a lot of programs happen, and we were like living it up. We were like, oh, you guys really can help. Who would have thunk it? So I want to know, last year we had pandemic EBT. We had food lines, and no provider was struggling to find food or get money for food. We saw, people having the resources, organizations, volunteers, being able to really step up. We had barriers broken down between cultures that wouldn't have asked for food, and got the help that they needed. We saw that across the board. Now this year, it's almost as if they're like, okay, but that was in the past. Remember, we're not in a pandemic anymore. You don't need any of those things. We're going to stop feeding the kids, bump your pandemic EBT, How are you feeling the effects of the loss of resources, if you have, or maybe you haven't, from last summer to this summer? I can go. I made my pandemic EBT for my kids last me a whole year. It was the most budgeting. I should be an accountant at this point. Okay. I had a very strict budget to make it last, and I think it lasted to like May or June. And not only did they get older, I have teenage boys. They eat more. My grocery budget is now $800 a month. Whoa. Okay. And I'm not seeing any of it, but at the same breath, now that the kids are back to school, well, one, they told me, oh, there's no more free lunch. So I had to add that to the budget. That was weird because I was kind of used to, we're not doing having to fill out these forms and everything like that. And now my kids were told that they had no money in their account. And I didn't think they were supposed to be doing that anymore, but they did, would not give my child lunch. But now I see that you have to actually sign up to get food on the weekends at my daughter's school. And this summer, this fall, when we went back, we turned it down because we realized there's not as much resources as there was last year, and we just don't need it as much as other families do. So my question I'm posing to you is, based on the last year's resources, the money, the influx, the food and social affluence that we had last year, if you want to call it that, the power, how all of the organizations were empowered and how we saw that play out in our community. Have you felt the effects of the loss of resources when it comes to food and just general community resources in the county this summer versus last summer? You can talk from an organization standpoint, from your community, yourself, lived experience, doesn't matter. Just hop on. Are we pondering? Go ahead, Rona. Unmute, boo.
Well, I'm a recipient of SNAP, and I have an EBT card. And if pre-pandemic amounts, or if we go back to the pre-pandemic amounts without the emergency assistance, I used to get $30 a month.
That's wild.
And I relied on Manna. And then with the emergency assistance, the SNAP benefit was something you could eat. You could bring food to the table. So if they cut that back, I can't live on $30 a month for food. And thank God for Manna. But what can we do to keep the EA on the SNAP? Are they going to drop us? Are they going to go back to the pre-pandemic amount?
I can't even imagine, honestly. Like, how did you do it then? Like, I don't even.
Well, I went to Manna.
Well, thank God for Manna, everybody.
I got my groceries at Manna, and then with the $30, I could get, a bag of almonds at the supermarket and, some cheese or something. And I'm really happy that Manna started the pantry style, because you can get fresh produce. It's not just getting a box of canned goods. And I think our committee recommended that, Jenna. Hi, Jenna. Back in the day when we first started, and I opened my big mouth and I said, I'm not going to eat this. But they started giving fresh food, and we're delighted. And now a new Manna pantry opened just less than a mile from where I live. I don't have to drive to Columbia Heights. And
We put it in there just for you, Rona.
you're so
You're welcome.
sweet. And when I stopped driving to Columbia Heights, my son said, Mom, you're spending more in gas. You know, what you spend in to fill your gas tank, you could buy groceries. It's a very long drive from Gaithersburg. But anyway, thank you. I haven't been there yet, but I do have an appointment in October. Do people know about that? It's the University of Shady Grove campus.
I'm sure we could share it with the group. Make your appointments. Make your appointments. Tell people to make their appointments. Because there's definitely
eager to do that. But I hope that the SNAP benefit doesn't go back to pre-pandemic amounts. And I'm sure I've written letters to Congress and emailed and all that. And for those who may not know me as the rotisserie chicken lady.
That's the only name I have for you, Rona. That's the only name.
For those who don't know why I have that nickname is I learned as a SNAP recipient that you cannot use your EBT card to purchase cooked food, prepared food, example, a rotisserie chicken, which, if you could buy a rotisserie chicken for $5, but you can't use your SNAP card. And I've been advocating for the change for, 2-3 years now. So maybe when the Farm Bill is renewed, they'll include that. I feel it's a discrimination for seniors and elderly and people with physical and seniors and elderly, that's the same thing, sorry. Some seniors are elderly and some are more elderly. But it prevents people with disabilities, physical handicaps, and challenge with mental illness. They can't get cooked food using their SNAP card, and it's a hardship. It's a real hardship when you can't prepare a meal. And if they change the rule, it's good for able-bodied people as well. If you're a single parent and you work, you can go pick up cooked food with your EBT card and not have to come home and cook the meal from scratch like our mothers and grandmothers did. Okay.
We're still making pickles from scratch, though. Don't even think about it, Karen. We're buying rotisserie, we're making pickles. This is priorities here.
Okay.
Anna Rose, come on, share your thoughts.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Rose. I also work for MANA. And I think Rona brought up a really good point is that, pandemic benefits were so helpful to so many people and highlighted so many of the inequities that existed before the pandemic. And I feel like we're kind of entering this phase now where people are like, oh, okay, everything's, back to normal. We can take away those benefits, but those inequities still exist. They existed before the pandemic. They were exacerbated during it, and they still exist now and are even worse in some communities that don't have access to all of those resources. And it's interesting too that that wages haven't been adjusted in a way that's actually helpful to people who are experiencing these inequities, who couldn't find access to healthy, affordable groceries before, during, and even now. So it's interesting, thinking about this whole post-pandemic rhetoric. It doesn't really, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a huge wound. It's not really benefiting people who are still experiencing these inequities. And I was thinking about also, it's dangerous to kind of act like this might be over, or it's already over, or it's in the past, when people are getting COVID for the third or fourth time, and getting sick the third or fourth time is presenting you know, side effects that they didn't have the first or second time that they got the virus. So it's still very much something that we don't know about. We don't know how it's going to affect people. And I was also thinking about how natural disasters and climate change will exacerbate the ways that certain communities will be able to, you know, get medical assistance, like in Puerto Rico, with the hurricane that has affected them in the past few days / week. You know, how are they getting access to, you know, medical assistance, and, you know, how are they going to be able to go to the hospital if someone's really sick or if someone has COVID? So, you know, it's very much so, at least in my opinion, it's very much so not over. I think it's just mainstream media is not highlighting the communities that are being affected the most by it, because I think all of us have probably felt this at some point or another over the past 3 years now, that it's just like, I think people are just information overloaded. They're like, I can't hear anything else. And it's easier to pretend that it's not there when you have the resources to, you know, help yourself and help those around you. But it's hard when you're either living in a community or in a family, or, you know, working in a space that is high risk. It's hard to see people neglecting that there are still things that need to be addressed.
Yeah. And I like that. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. What a failed opportunity or a missed opportunity that we saw everything come uncovered. We see it, and then now we're like, no, it's over. Just put the rug back on it. Like it's just never gonna sit the way that it did before. What's up, Allison?
Well, I apologize. I have to hop off in like a second to go to another meeting, but I just wanted to, you know, echo everything that Rona was saying about the emergency allotments. And this is, you know, a huge concern for those of us who work in the SNAP world, is what is going to happen when this benefits cliff comes. If it does come, you know, we're hearing now it won't happen until after the midterm elections. We are hoping that it just continues to get pushed back, and that things like the White House conference, which is happening next week, and then, you know, with the Farm Bill coming up again, that's a huge advocacy opportunity for all of you who are advocates to get out there and talk about the adequacy of the SNAP benefit, because, you know, this is the time to really push that, and it's going to be pushed by, you know, a lot of national organizations. So, you know, we will send out information about that. I'm sure Mana will. I'm sure all the different advocacy groups will send out information about that. And I just wanted to bring up one other thing about SNAP right now that we're tracking very closely, is that since waivers have gone away, so that SNAP recipients have to do recertifications and they have to do interviews again, we've seen 18,000 people in Montgomery County lose their SNAP benefits. And they are really struggling to get them back. So they're going a month or 2 months or 3 months without SNAP benefits. And it's just created, it's already a huge administrative burden to do SNAP, but with these new with the requirements that are back, with the redebts and the interviews, people are really struggling. So we're advocating a lot with county and through our childhood hunger initiative to have more resources to help people not just get on SNAP, but stay on SNAP, because it's not easy to do everything that's required. You know, and so that's my 2 cents, and I'm sorry I have to hop off, but it was lovely to see all of you, especially my community advisory board members. I always love seeing you, and you know, great job, Vanessa, and I hope to join other meetings.
Great.
All right, thanks all.
So that was a great segue and a great conversation that we all had. It's not all doom and gloom, but we do have to talk about, you know, the things that are staring us in the face, so that we can start to come away from these conversations, and I give you some food for thought. You said my pun there? You see? Yeah, okay. So, that, you know, you think about, you know, maybe you learned something today, or you heard somebody say something that maybe doesn't affect you personally, but now you have experienced through someone else's lived experience, things that you may not have thought. You know, seniors getting $30 a month for SNAP benefits. People are losing their benefits. This all opens up areas for action. So between now and the next time, think about how you can get involved. Mana's newsletter said it was Hunger Action Month. And I love that. Every month is for action, but if they're gonna give it a whole month, I mean, we got a week left. The Hunger Conference is coming up. There's multiple ways you can get involved, even if it's just doing what you did today, which was just learning. We just learned and we listened, and find an article and look more into the people losing the SNAP benefits, or talk to a neighbor. Make sure you're registered to vote too. Here we go. You know, I think that there's a lot of space for, now that we have talked about the issues that are going on, our next meeting will build upon it and see what we can really do to start to affect some change, and what ideas you have around that, plus anything else you want to talk about and eat.
So if we're thinking about things between now and then, who can we email just to, you know, see if that's like in the realm of thinking about? Or
Agar and I, you can email the both of us. We would love to hear if you have any agenda items, topics you want to bring up, things that other people should know about. I would love for it to get so involved that we have like a group chat or something. Like, we shouldn't just be in touch, you know, once a month. There's stuff happening every day. So definitely email us if you have anything to add or think about. We'd love to hear from you. What's up, Rona? You're on mute again. You and that mute button, stay fighting.
Once I'm unmuted, it stays unmuted. But anyway, I belong to a disability network, and they have a listserv for, I don't know how many people belong, but it's a big group. You email that address, and people who have a child with a disability or a young adult with his disability will say, you know, where can I go for my son to get a haircut because he has autism? And then people on the listserv answer, or where can I get someone? They ask questions. It's a resource, and it's fabulous. So if our network could have a listserv, and anyone sends a question and anyone that has an answer, you're really in touch with everything that's going on. And they, you know, I think it's a wonderful resource. I don't work actively that much anymore, but when I know if somebody says, well, I'm looking for a physical therapist and I live in Silver Spring, who do you recommend to work with my child who has this disability or that disability? Anyway, you get the idea. Could set up a listserv.
I would love that.
You want to volunteer to man one? Anybody want to volunteer to man the listserv? We're gonna definitely add it onto our list, but we can't do this alone. So well, definitely, if you'd like to volunteer to help us out with that,
what's required? What is required?
We can talk about it. We'll bring the information back next time. We can look into it, and then next meeting we'll have some more information.
I'll ask the people who man or supervise the listservs that I belong to, and find out what's involved, because it's really, really a wonderful resource for all kinds of questions. And we don't have to have a meeting or set aside time. It's 24/7.
True.
Thank you for checking that out. That would be so great.
All right, I will. Glad I could be useful.
Well, you guys stuck with me too.
Everybody.
There you go. Well, I want to give you back your time, but thank you for sticking with me for so long today. Everybody stayed the whole hour. I thought people would drop off, but this is so dope. Which means that you guys like the conversation, and I hope we bring more back to it. And if something happens as you're going about your weeks and you're like, you know what, I'm bringing that to the group, we have a soapbox for you. Okay. Until next time, remember to register ahead of time for next month. We're talking about childhood hunger. We're going to continue this conversation. Fall inspired lunch. Give me some pumpkin spice. Give me something. Give me something. And I can't wait to see you guys. We're going to make sure that this gets out on social media. Invite someone. Don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. Share us. Okay. Have a good one, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. See you next month.
Bye, Miss Mary.
Love you.
Yeah, mwah.
Hey, I'm trying to get more. No, seriously. I contacted him, and his aide had sent me an email back. So whenever I hear from that, then he either goes to the council or, yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay, I love you. I'll talk to you later. I'll call you later.
Okay, bye.
I heard you. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Mary. Hey, ladies, I know you got something else to do, I'm sure, but I just wanted to thank you, Vanessa. I thought that was a really strong start. And Agar, I loved how you were putting things in the chat and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for being our co-hosts.
Agar, you might want to stop streaming. You're streaming still.
No,
No.
publicly, I'm so glad.
No worries. No worries.
I'll
stopped.
You stopped recording, but it's